Good evening, everyone. Welcome to, I think it's episode 5 now of the AFLW show. I am joined by Terry this evening. Good evening, Terry. Welcome back. It's good to have you back for show number 5. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm great. I'm excited. Back in the rotation. 5 weeks has gone really quick. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, we were having this discussion. I think when we were having this concept, we thought, oh yeah, nah, it's still ages away. And then all of a sudden November rolled around and now we're nearly in the middle of December. Christmas is only like 2 and a bit weeks away. And we're just like, whoa, where's the time gone?
I know, right? I know. I think we're closer to round 1 than what we are episode 1 of the show. So I'm pumped. We've got a few cool things to talk about tonight. A few cool people.
We do. Bit of a mix tonight, which is good. A little bit different. And we're also going to be talking about the fixture finally. Mm-hmm. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road, hey?
Vesio with all the experience in the world. She kicks.
And there it is, just on half time. Maddie Prasparkas.
Never gets old. Love it.
Never.
So I was talking to Nick last week and we were talking about players that could have an impact in 2022. And I know that losing Al Downey was probably one of the big losses for us in terms of ruck stocks, which is why I'm kind of glad that the first person we're talking about tonight is one of our new recruits, Jess Good.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know too much about her yet, but I do know that she is one of our taller players, which is obviously helpful for Breann Moody, who else we're going to be talking about a bit later. But what have you heard about Jess?
I'm very much the same as you. And I think I was saying this probably in episode 1. I'm probably, and even when I spoke to Charlotte Wilson, I'm probably at, I reckon I was at 90% in terms of like all the girls that I knew by name, by face. And then now that we've brought in a few new ones, I think that goes down to like 83%. Jess Good is probably one of them. I had a look at her, had a read up earlier today. I know she's from, from SA, played basketball as well. So instantly I have a connection with her there and I can understand it there. And she's a mature ager as well, 27. So got some height, got some experience, got the basketball background, which always helps with, hand-eye coordination and spacing. And yeah, I think it was episode 1 as well, where you and I were talking about, and I asked like, who's going to chop out in the ruck? Well, I think this is one of those players that can do that.
Yeah, well, we've seen from previous years when they've brought in players that have had a netball background or a basketball background, and I'll use Shani Layton as an example. They tend to be a bit of a surprise packet when they come across from a different sport. And I know she played basketball in SA with Kez Harrington, so there is a little bit of a connection there. But I'll be interested to see how she goes transitioning into the higher level, because I know she played in the Sanford Sturt. So she's kind of got that already, a little bit of football behind her. But crossing from another sport is always a bit of a harder transition, especially for someone of her height. She's 185 centimetres, so she's quite a tall girl. She's actually taller than Breann Moody. So wow. That could potentially work in our favour, because I know AFLW players, their rucks aren't quite tall, so this could work in our favour.
The other thing as well, I'm curious about, like, is she someone that will play in the team with Moody? I know that there's a few less players on, that get selected for a game compared to the men. So I don't know if having 2 rucks on the list is something that we can afford to do, given that there's a few less players and there's a lot more space as well. I'm not really sure on what Jess's forward craft is if she was to rest forward while Bree plays in the ruck.
Yeah, well, that's a really good question, because I know we're running short on tall forwards after Taylor Harris has departed. So it could be a potential headache for Half and the team to kind of decide whether they will utilize Jess as a forward option, because I know we do need that chop out for Bree moving into each game, because you can't expect her to ruck the whole game. That's just stupid. But no, it's actually a really good question. And being a mature age at 27, she doesn't have a lot of time to really establish herself, because I know most of the players at AFLW level are starting to play a little bit further into their 30s. So she may have a little bit of time, but she's not your typical 18-year-old that you recruit every day that you're going to have 10 years out of. So, yeah, it could be one of those things that she does start round one, just to try it out, because I don't see why not.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think the age and experience thing will play into her hands. However, she will have to you'd think she's going to have to hit the ground running. And like you said, she doesn't have as much time as someone like you look like a Brooke Vernon, for example, who's on that younger end of the scale, and has a little bit more time to establish herself. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how she plays out, see how it all plays out. I have a feeling by the end of the season, I'll definitely know her without even having to look her up. It's going to be one of those new players that I'll accustom myself to.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one to watch this year. Mm-hmm. And it's good to see our good friend Pommy in the house. Hello, Pommy. I had to post it. This is hilarious. Look, if they want my number, Pommy, they can just ask.
They know where to find you now, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, look, what better platform to find me on? Moving on to another ruckman that has been at the club since day dot, and that's Breann Moody. We love her in the cheer squad. She's one of the fan favourites for sure. I love the way she goes about her football, because she's not your typical footballer. She can kick the ball an absolute mile. So, when she's got the ball in her hand, she's going to bomb it long and it's going to get there. I think she played all of the games last year. She played 9. So 9 games last year, and she's only 24. So that's even better for us, I think. She averaged 19 hit-outs, 5 hit-outs to advantage, 2 clearances, and she averaged about 12 disposals a game. Can't ask much more from a ruckman, can you?
No, well, I mean, we talk about losing Al, but at the end of the day, I think what, in a weird way, has almost been overlooked is that this is the best ruckman in the league. This is an All-Australian ruckman. And if anything, I think it was the natural move to have her now take that. If she already hadn't taken that number 1 ruck spot, I think Al was just, in the end, playing a bit of ruck cover for her. But this is one of, if not the best ruckman in the competition, and getting better.
Yeah, and Pommy summed it up perfectly here. She's so underrated, because she is. That's it. Reminds me of Cruiser, goes unnoticed. Yeah, 100% she does. And I don't disagree with him at all, because she is one of those players that can definitely be All-Australian. I don't see why not again, because she's just one of those players that is, as Beachy said, a workhorse.
Mm-hmm.
I never see her stop running. She's always constantly running, and she's always constantly looking for places to put herself where she's going to be to our advantage. I very rarely see her make too many errors. She's got a solid pair of hands. So, when the ball is coming near her and her arms are up in the air, the ball's going to stick.
Mm.
She can kick a goal too. So that's why, if we go back to Jess for a second, having Jess in that side could be the key to unlocking Breann Moody as a potential forward, in my opinion.
Well, I noticed as the season went on, I think, Peter Hayward said it spot on here. Like, I think because, for me personally, I didn't know Moody before the season started last year. So it took me a few games to really accustom myself to her. And then I noticed as the season went on, she was marking the ball more, she was providing a forward option a bit more. And I think if she can carry that into the preseason now, which it's been a pretty long preseason for them, and every year, let's be honest, is a long off season for them. If she can just get the timing right of her fitness and her form, bring what she was doing at the end of last season into the start of this season, I don't see why she can't stay at the level, if not improve it, and be in that All-Australian conversation again. I think she's still got so much upside. And I remember noticing her have this dexterity with the ball as well, ball in hand, in traffic, and I'm not sure if I don't know if she's got a background in another sport, but she's very mobile.
For someone of her height, she is quite mobile and she's quite athletic, and her agility is quite good in and around the ball. So when you put all of that together, your typical ruckman is tall, lanky, doesn't really move that well. If you look at Mumford as an example, moves slow as a snail, but he's strong. In comparison, you've got Bree, who's tall, athletic, can get the ball when she needs to and deliver it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what she does this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key will be how much support we can give her. I mean, in an ideal world, it's like let her play in the ruck for 4 quarters because she's good enough, which I'm sure she is. But ruck is it's a tough spot. You're constantly in that danger zone. You're getting knees thrown at you. You've got people at your feet all the time. You can fatigue really quickly. You've got to be at the drop of the ball all the time. And one thing about the AFLW is it is very much at this stage of its life, it's very much a kicking game. It's not necessarily a chip it around game just yet, where you can slow the play down and give players a rest. So yeah, I think it's important that she has a chop out. But otherwise, Peter, again, Grundy I like that. It's not like us to make. It's not like us to make big comparisons, but I think he's right.
Yeah, totally. That's actually a really good call, because we all know how well Brodie Grundy gets around the ground. I don't disagree with that at all. I think that's too bad he doesn't play for Carlton. Would have been the perfect comparison.
Yeah. Well, who are the other ruckmen in the AFLW that are in that conversation, that are up there? I'm a little bit ignorant when it comes to that. I don't really watch many of the other teams, but who is she really competing against? That's
the question. Probably why she's an All-Australian, because no one can compete with her.
Yeah.
Feel free to let us know in the comments who she is or who could come up against her. I'm more of a blinkers on Carlton only kind of AFL.
Same.
I watch all the games, but I don't really pay too much attention. Pommy. Emma King.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see that, but she's not Breann Moody, so we'll close that conversation.
Great.
The next girl on our list we drafted from the Gold Coast Suns. Only played the 3 games last year, but already has established herself as one of our tackling machines, and that's Charlotte Hammans. I didn't see too much of her, only having the 3 games last season. But I don't know too much about her other than that. I know she played the first game last year against Collingwood. But yeah, no, I'm keen to see how she goes this year. I haven't really been exposed to too much. She's only 20, so that's something, I suppose. But yeah, no, I'm not too sure around what I think about young Charlotte just yet. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much the same. She started the season last season, so obviously she was at the forefront of the coaches' minds. And you got to remember, last season was a season where we had some other senior players in the team as well. So the fact that she got a game early said something. She fell out. I thought she got injured. I could be wrong on that. I thought she got injured. She missed a bit of footy, and then she came back late in the season. But yeah, I think she's in the bracket with a couple of others who were in this same age bracket, experience bracket of any one of these can step up to the plate and be that second or third or fourth midfielder that really can help Maddie, and maybe not match it with Maddie, but just be another option. I think Lucy McAvoy is one that we spoke about a few weeks ago, who's really got the talent and got a few pre-seasons under her belt now to step up. Charlotte Hammans, again, I don't know too much about her, to be honest, but I find her to be in that bracket of players that anything could happen. I think especially when you consider, Mimi Hill is going to be back. So there's, competition for spots in that midfield again. So we'll see how she goes. But if there's anybody in the comments that does know more about her, definitely let us know.
Yeah, 100%. Like, she played round 1 and round 2. So she obviously played well enough in round 1 to cement her spot for round 2. And she actually played a better game against the Bulldogs in round 2 for the Pride round. But then we didn't see her again until round 8. Mm-hmm. So I think she's kind of one of those players that can be versatile, but we can obviously look to her should we need her. Mm-hmm. This is obviously her second AFLW club, and I know Gold Coast didn't want to let her go, but I think it's just, she's just going to have to, like as Peter said, she's going to struggle to get a look in with Mimi coming back. I would have thought that she would have got more of a go after Mimi did her ACL, but obviously that side last year, even though we weren't winning as many games, was obviously solid enough for them not to change anything too much, which is probably one of the downsides. Like, I'm all for giving people a go, and I would like to see more of her this year. So next year when this comes around again, we can have more to say about her and understand her game a little bit better.
Yep. Just on Mimi, I know this is not about Mimi. Mimi, is she ready for round 1? Is she on track for round 1?
Yes. So
okay,
all
great.
Things are pointing to her playing round 1, hopefully. Obviously, they're going to monitor her a little bit more closer. She's moving well from what I'm seeing at training. I haven't heard anything I haven't heard any setbacks or anything of that nature. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the teams will be come round 1. And I know, listening to Nicole Livingston yesterday, she said that they had to have round 1 stitched up, ready to go 100% by this week, because obviously being 6 weeks out from the comp, they didn't want it to be too long in between letting everyone know.
Yeah,
so,
fair enough.
We'll get to the fixture a bit later and my thoughts around what that is going to look like. I'm excited, but there's a few things that I want to point out that I think a few people might not have, and I want to give credit to the person that told me about it. So moving on. The next player is Madeline Guerin, and I know a lot of people were excited about her arrival last year, as was I. Her pace, just coming off an ACL with the amount of rehab that she went through after leaving Melbourne, she's a jet. Her pace is just incredible off the halfback line. When the ball's in her hand and she's running off halfback, good luck catching her. She's just so quick, so agile for someone who's done her ACL. I'm just in awe of how she's bounced back. She's a good news story.
I'm a big fan. She was one of the few. She caught my eye early. Like, I didn't know who she was at the start of last season, but I remember going to the Pride game against the Dogs last year, which was round 2, and that's where, like, from that moment on, that game onwards, I'm like, I know who she is. She has this. I don't know. I think there's something about her that makes her stand out. I think it is the dash and the long booming kick. I think she is going to be a really good, she was last year anyway, but moving forward, we're not going to miss the loss of, Jess Hosking was playing on that back flank for us for a good chunk of her time there. So to have an offensive threat like Maddie Guerin there, and I think if last season was her first season back from an ACL, then this season coming up, it's exciting. I like her as one of our potential breakout players, because I think she got better as the year went on, and she obviously, I think she did. She played some VFL games as well. She's just super committed, from the outside looking in, really nice, really friendly, and, good with the fans. And I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah, no, she's a very dedicated footballer. And I know that, she played, I think, majority of the VFLW season as well. So I think they don't, you have your bigger players that don't really continue on their seasons post AFL. Obviously, with work commitments and stuff like that, they're probably not required to play VFL, but they're given the option. And I'm glad that she did. I think Nat Plain's another one that plays VFL as well. I think Jess Hosking played as well in the VFL level. So to have the experience that Maddie has at AFL level, to take that back to VFL level is invaluable for those girls that are aspiring to play AFLW, because you've seen just through the last draft, a lot of girls are getting picked up from that VFL level and brought up to the AFL level, where they're playing for Hawthorn, picked up by St Kilda.
Mm-hmm.
So it's happening, and in that development of the VFL program has probably put Maddie in good stead to have a big season and to launch from round one, because we all know Collingwood's got some really good midfielders in Britt Benici and Stephanie Chiocci, and then they've got Chloe Malloy up forward. But I feel that our back six, with the inclusion of Maddie, Collingwood won't get a look in round one.
Yeah,
we can
hope so. I don't want to go to Icon Park and watch us lose to Collingwood again.
No, I said this to Nick last week. They took the wall down that said never lose to Collingwood. So we need to put that wall back up somewhere.
100%.
That stands for men's and women's. Correct. Never lose to Collingwood.
It's a club thing. It's a club rule. It's a Carlton Football Club rule.
And because we don't want to give Swoop anything, nothing to smile about, nothing.
Don't worry, Swoop Luke has what's coming to him. I've got something in store for him. He's been running his mouth on Twitter and Instagram, and don't worry, I'm ready. I'm ready for what he has to offer.
I'm ready for you to show him.
Just know that I'm ready, and just know that I have left, to quote the Footy Club, I have left no stone unturned in the Collingwood banter for next season. It's going to go up another level.
Oh, I'm so excited. The next player on our list, I think, has been probably the biggest improver since she started. Everybody knows who this young lady is, and she needs no introduction in my book, and that is Georgia G. I absolutely adore this girl. She is electric. She's exciting. They don't know how to play against her. Nobody knows how to play against her. And every time she's got the ball in hand, you know it's going to be exciting. She gives me Eddie Betts vibes.
Yeah.
Maybe because she wears the number 19. I don't know.
I obviously chatted with her, did an interview with her on the channel. She just makes me smile. Like when I watch her play, when I hear her talk, she just, I don't know, there's just something about her. She's just a positive bundle of energy. And I liken her, Eddie Betts, obviously, because of the number 19, but the way I watch her play and it just makes me happy. It's very similar to Zach Fisher. Just there's something flashy and electric about them that brings joy when I watch them play. And her ability to read the ball, whether it's as a small forward, even when she goes into the midfield and she's on the outside, she just knows where to be and when to be there. And she obviously grew up. She's grown up. She won 5 premierships as a junior, 5 in a row. So she's
Same.
just come from success. She's come from good, strong clubs, through her junior days. She's had a perfect, I'd say, as perfect as you can for the women's program. Obviously, it's still developing, but she's come through a really good program into the AFL. And she's tough. You can never question her toughness. And then what I also like about her is she's starting, I feel like she's starting to mature and just really come into her own as a leader. And, she's spoken about, her personal issues and things that she's, had to deal with in her journey to where she is today. And I really have a lot of respect for her. I'm a real big fan.
Yeah, no, me too. I think she's just turned 22 she's 22. So for a young player, that expectation sits on you. And I think Maddie Prasparkas is going through the same thing. Like that expectation to be something and to prove something. I don't think Georgia needs to prove anything to anybody. She is, without a doubt, probably the best small forward in the competition. They've got her down as a speedy winger, but I think last season she played more predominantly high half forward.
Mm-hmm.
And she is, she's electric. I can't say any more. Like everybody, we all love her in the cheer squad. She's definitely an excitement machine, and every time she gets the ball, we know something's going to get done with it. She was a NAB Rising Star nominee, and for her size, like her stature, her build, like you wouldn't think someone of her size would be as an elite athlete like she is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a testament to her hard work. She's insane. Like we've been to a couple of open training sessions back when we were allowed to prior to COVID, and just even at training, she's full of energy and she just brings that something that I think we talk about culture in the AFLW team, and we've always said that they've got a really strong bond and a really strong culture.
Mm-hmm.
And we said it last week, like they need to bring that kind of element of fun to training, because training can't always just be, head down, bum up sort of thing. You got to allow yourself to relax and allow yourself to have some fun. And I, from what I've seen of her at training, she's one of those players that brings fun, brings laughter, brings the energy. Between her and Maddie Prasparkas, they're inseparable, and it's just funny to watch.
Yeah. I think Peter said it here perfectly too. Like she's consistent, and for a small forward, that's rare. It's because small forwards naturally, it's one of those positions where you've got to create your own magic. It doesn't just come to you. You've got to feed off your forwards and whatnot. I don't know. She is an elite small forward. I'm not saying she's not, but I kind of want to see her on ball a little bit more. Like I think the idea of her kicking the ball inside 50 is just as exciting to me as her kicking goals. I think because she's so clean by foot, she's so crafty, and she's so creative when she has the ball in hand. She's very, very highly skilled, and I think she's in a category of players, probably with Maddie and maybe even like a Grace Egan, who are in this next wave of leadership. And I know like you don't want to put too much pressure on them, but I look at Georgia G as one of the leaders of the group now. I think, her consistency is a reason for that. And her maturity and the way she carries herself and her longevity. She's available. She gets up week to week. It's a brutal sport. And, I think her running power is great. And I don't want to put the moz on her, but I think she's in for a massive year.
Oh, big time. And don't you just love to see it? Pommy's kids pretend to be her in the yard. That's the kind of stuff. That's the wholesome stuff you want to read, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just the men's stars that they're pretending to be anymore. And for her, she would probably be so humbled by reading something like that, because these girls don't get the recognition the boys get, which is a bit of a shame. And we've touched on this before in previous videos that I've been on of yours and stuff like that. It's just that the girls just don't get enough recognition.
Yeah.
But to read something like that, that kids these days are not just calling out boys' names, like the AFL men's players when they're playing in the backyard, but they're starting to call out all the girls' names. That's
Yeah.
just, it's incredible. Like it just shows how far we've come as a sport to recognise that girls can play and that they're idols for someone.
Yeah, I mean, I think Georgia's one of the, like, for me, when I was learning about the group and the players, she was one of the few that stood out. And I know, she's spoken openly about like the body image issues and the fact that, people make comments about her size. For me, it almost reminds me a little bit of like Matty Lappin. Like you were drawn to Matty Lappin because he was smaller than the rest of the players and he was brave and he was tough. And Georgia's sort of no different. Like I was drawn to her because of her size, but because of her size against bigger bodies and her ability to stand out. So I just hope for good health for her and hope she has a clean preseason with no setbacks, touch wood, and then I think we're in good hands.
We are, and just watching her tackle the bigger girls just impresses me no end. So
oh yeah.
I'm just in awe of that girl. But lucky last for this evening, you know this girl very well. And I'm excited to talk about Charlotte because I know you're probably going to have lots to say about her.
Yes.
Charlotte Wilson. I'll let you take the reins on this one.
Oh, Charlotte Wilson, 20 years old, 179 centimeters. I liken her. There's a lot of young leaders emerging. I know Maddie's a young leader, and we love Maddie. She's a superstar, but I think Charlotte is our next captain after Kez, because I think Kez will be captain for a while. I think Charlotte is really, really developing well. Had the privilege of got the privilege of sponsoring her for the upcoming season, and for however long she plays footy at the Carlton Footy Club. And yeah, super, super down to earth girl, like a mature head, but she still has. She's like there are mature heads, and you can be a mature head at a young age and be a little vanilla, but she's got a spark to her as well. Like she's got the best of both worlds. She's got that, I don't know, she's got this maturity, but she's also got a fun side, it seems. And then her football's great. I mean, I was surprised to hear her say that she's working on her ability to read the ball in flight and take those intercept marks, because I think that's what drew me to her. That's how I picture her, really, going back with the flight of the ball. I think she sold herself a little short and she was being a little modest, but I think this is one of our this is our Jacob Wiedering type,
Yeah, no. Listening to that, I thought she did sell herself a little bit short too, because every time I've seen her, she's been intercepting the ball. So
yeah,
no, but she's definitely one of the girls that I'm really, really excited to see where 2022 takes her, only because she's still so young, but she's showing so much. And she's a key element to that back six. Alongside Mua, that she's going to intercept the ball 9 times out of 10. And just looking at her intercept possessions last year, she has sold herself completely short, because there's 38 intercept possessions, roughly 5 a game. So she's humbled herself.
I think it shows the ambition of her as well, like where she actually wants to get with her footy, because she's still relatively new to the game in the sense that she's only been playing footy like for less than a decade. She's a basketballer growing up as well. So, got great height, got great. So she's in really good condition. That's one thing I've noticed about her too. And maybe we'll touch on it a little after, but just generally, I've seen quite a few of the girls in the photos, like their bodies are really developing as the years go on. And whereas Charlotte, for me, I've always noticed her, like she's always been lean. She's always had like the shape that a lot of them have now. And that's just a testament to her regime and her discipline, her diet, and whatever else she does. And she's primed. I think she's primed for a really strong season with that back six. Because I think, who said it earlier? I think our strength is in our defense. our defensive unit. I think that's the best line on the field for us, because we have a good mix of experience, and then we've got this nice mix of youth coming through as well. And I think Charlotte leads the way there.
Yeah, and you know that our list is going to be in safe hands for the years to come. When you have a look at, like, more broadly, look at our list and the age bracket, the average age is a lot lower than I expected, actually. So
Yeah.
when you look at who our older heads are now, you're pretty much just looking at your Darcy Vessios, your Kez Harringtons, and your Nat Plains, really, because the rest of them are pretty much quite young, like in their early to mid 20s. So on the whole, like you said, I don't disagree that Charlotte could potentially be the next captain of the Carlton Football Club, and that's a huge honour either way. And I think she's in for a huge season. If she plays a quarter of how well she played last year, I'll be happy. But I know she's going to have a huge season, and we're going to need her to in that back six, because I know that we've said it before, they're a core back six, and that's why I love having Simo down there.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those players that we all know how well Simo was and what kind of footballer he was. And if he could bestow any knowledge or any wisdom onto our back six is going to be the best back six ever. So,
yeah, with you.
What more can you say about that? And I'm so excited to see Charlotte, because she's just so young, and it's just, can't wait.
We're in good hands, and I'm excited to get her Guernsey. I think I'm going to have to wait to the end of the season, but I'm hoping see if I can get it earlier on, so I can have it hanging on this side, or maybe even replace this one, because number 29 doesn't exist anymore. Well, it does, just not for Corey Durden, and I don't want a jersey that has had 19 straight goals kicked on it. But that's for another day, Shan.
Oh God, can we not? I don't want to remember that day ever. That day didn't happen.
No.
No. So we have finally, praise everyone, we have a fixture.
I know.
We have an AFLW fixture. Yes.
What took so long? Why did it take? I mean, I get it. You got to figure out where you want to play. Why did we get to 4 weeks out before we know who we're playing? What happens? I'm a little bit uneducated here, and how does it happen like this? It can't just be a COVID thing, because we knew COVID was happening. So
I think the big thing was the border issue with WA.
Okay.
Because we know how Mark McGowan is, and they've lost the Ashes test as a result. Okay. So, it's one of those things that I think they didn't want it to take as long as it did, but the negotiations with the isolation periods for the players and stuff like that, that's why you'll see that West Coast and Freo will play the first 2 to 3 weeks in Perth before they leave. That way they have time to isolate when they come back. So I wish I knew why it took so long, because I know everyone was waiting with bated breath for this. But we knew last week that we were playing Collingwood round 1. We travelled to Maroochydore, in round 2 to play Brisbane.
Yep.
Round 3, we are back. There it is. Thank you. I was looking at it off my phone. Round 3, we are at the Whitten Oval for the annual Pride game. Always a really good event to get down to. I encourage everyone to get down to the Pride game. It's probably one of my favourite games of the year, just for the atmosphere, because I know round 1's always going to have a really good atmosphere, but round 2 against the Bulldogs is another great one.
It's a vibe. It's colourful, and it's a real vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. We play North in round 4 at Icon Park. We have 2 games at Icon Park in a row, actually. So North and then Adelaide. Then we've got Freo, St Kilda, GWS at Manuka Oval, Gold Coast at home, and Melbourne at Casey Fields. So we don't play Richmond, Geelong, and there's one other that we don't play. Can't quite put my finger on it. It'll come to me.
Okay.
But the thing that I wanted to point out, and I alluded to it on Monday night when I was talking to you and Pom, and a huge shout out to my co-host from last week, Nick, who pointed this out to us during the week. Our 10 games include the teams who finished 1 to 6, and 8 and 9 from last year. Collingwood played 2 of the top 6 sides and played all of the bottom 4 sides. So we've got a harder draw.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little bit annoyed that we always seem to draw the short straw, men's or women's, when it comes to fixturing. I don't understand why, but when you make us play every team from 1 to 6, I find that a little bit annoying. And then when you see teams like Collingwood play all the teams that finished below them, where's the fairness in that?
Yeah, it's tough. It's hard because we just wait for the fixture to come out and hope for the best, I think it works. I really do think it works. It ends up evening out. And the reason why I say that is there might be a perception that Collingwood's got an easier draw, we'll call it. But what kind of finals experience, or what kind of finals preparation they're really getting if they're playing, lesser teams and what, and then they come up against really good sides, when it comes down to finals, if they make it. Whereas for us, it looks like we're playing all the best sides from last year. So if we deserve it and we're good enough to make finals, we won't have any question marks about the group at the end of the year, but they had an easy draw. And I think in a funny way, if we're going to be the premiers of the competition, we're going to win the premiership, then we're going to, I love the idea of going through the best. To beat the best, to be the best, you've got to beat the best. And also it's funny because who knows, there could be drop-offs. We were touted as one of those top teams last year, and we just it didn't work for us. It's so hard. You don't know how it's going to play out. You don't know who's going to be good. Collingwood almost seemed to have that same situation as what we had last year, with that expectation and an easier draw. So I think it'll even itself out in the sense of the footy gods will come to play. And if we're good enough and we beat these top teams, then we go into finals with a lot more confidence than someone like a Collingwood. And then imagine playing Collingwood in round 1 of the finals next year when we haven't played them and we've played all the good teams and we've made it, and then we give them a touch up because they haven't played the same quality,
Well, let's hope we give them a touch up round 1 first, then beat them in a final, cherry on top of the cake. But no, I agree with what Nat said a bit earlier in regards to making the season longer and playing everyone once.
100%.
I think they should move to that when they get into 2023, when they've got more capability to extend the season a few more weeks. And with the introduction of Sydney, Port Adelaide, I think it's Essendon and Hawthorn next year. There's the other 4 clubs. I think we're pretty much got a complete deck. I think we'll have all 18 clubs with a side. So I want to see the season get extended to 18 rounds and everyone plays each other once.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Once we have that opportunity in having all the teams available, why can't we play? Again, maybe I'm just a little uneducated, but why can't we play everyone once now?
Well, yeah, that too. But we're dealing with who we're dealing with here, and I've got. I think they're going to try and start the season next year a little bit earlier,
Okay.
to
Like
allow
December?
for maybe even late November, early December.
Yep.
So probably around this time next year, the season will have already started because of the introduction of the 4 new teams. I'm not sure would make more sense because I think our first round of the women's finals coincides with round 1 of the men's season as it
Gotcha.
currently stands. So they'll kind of overlap, but I want to get to the point where wherever your corresponding men's team's playing that weekend, you go and be a curtain raiser versus the other side's corresponding women's team. So, for instance, Carlton Collingwood at the MCG, men's play at night, start the girls at 3-4 o'clock. Game will be over by 5:36. Men's starts at 7:40. Why not?
I love that. I love the idea of it. I think it would, yeah. I mean, it would bring, obviously, it would bring us there. It would bring more
Earlier.
people there. It'd make the day. I mean, the day when you're watching a men's game, even if you're watching a women's game, like you've got that 3 hours or 4 hours, but it's really the whole day. It just extends the day. It just makes it so much more memorable as a day. No,
Well,
I'm with you.
Like us, I'd be there when the gates open to watch the women and then stick around for the men.
9 a.m. with a coffee in hand.
And then 6 p.m. with a cider.
I know.
But that's
I mean,
the thing.
look,
That's the kind of idea.
Yeah, I think my observation of what I've seen, just like from a high level, is like it is happening. It is moving. Everyone wants it to move quicker, but the reality is it's just not ever going to move as quickly as what we want it to move. This might be a good segue into like I think there was a plan that was revealed today about having equal representation with coaches and the AFLW fixture between now and 2030. And I think like as much as we want it to move quickly, like we need to make sure it's steady movement. We still got to bring in new clubs next season, and the focus can only be on certain things every season. And I think for this season, it really is about, well, we're still COVID affected, so it's managing that, which is a lot to manage. And then there's new clubs that are going to come in next season. So we kind of have to wait a little bit more. But I still think things are moving in the right direction. The pay gap is obviously a big thing, and having only a certain section of players who are paid well, and even those players who are at the top end of the scale, it's not life-changing money, but it's solid for what it is right now. But that will come. And I just think we need to make sure that it does come, and it's just one of those. It's almost like a startup. The AFLW. It's less than 10 years old, so it's really early in its existence. So I love the big thinking. I love the pushing, but I also think it's important that we go along with building a solid foundation and doing it right. Because I think with anything, like whether it's business or whatever, you can't just rush. You can't just have 18 teams straight off the bat. Unfortunately, that way you got to make sure you can service all the clubs, I think. So, I think we're moving good. I don't know if we could be moving quicker, but we'll get there.
Look, I heard about the plan and I read about it, and I'm excited for it. It's probably something that's welcomed in the female football community on the whole. And when you look at, like you mentioned, that we don't want to move too quickly and we can't service so many teams in one hit, I kind of refer that to the introduction of Gold Coast and GWS into the fold, and 100%. looking at how GWS have been a little bit more successful in their on-field performance, whereas Gold Coast haven't. So I think the way they were introduced probably wasn't the right time. But I think they need to, if they're going to, now that they're introducing the new 4 teams in the AFLW next year, I think they've approached it correctly. Having your core teams at the start, slowly introducing more, and then finishing the pieces of the puzzle with the last lot. Because I know a lot of people were really upset at the start when Essendon weren't one of the first 6 to 8 clubs, because I know they put a bid in and they were very disappointed when they didn't get the license. So I think the AFL has done this really well in how they've set up the AFLW program, and they haven't rushed all the 18 teams into one hit. So that's probably one of the best things they could have done. But yeah, no, I agree with you. It needs to be done properly.
All in good time.
All in good time. And I reckon that's a pretty good way to finish, don't you? On a happier note.
That was the quickest 50 minutes I think I've had in a long time.
Well, when you spend it with me on the AFLW show, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Absolutely, Shan. No, great work. I want to thank you as well. It's been a great 5 weeks. I think you've slotted in perfectly. I think I speak on behalf of everyone that watches.
Thank you.
Love having you a part of it. And 4 more, I think it is, 4 more episodes to go until we're talking about round 1. So bring it. Yeah,
well, I don't know. I think next week might be the last one before Christmas.
Yep.
Is that right? I don't even know what date it is anymore.
Well, it's the 8th. So we've got next week. We could potentially do one on the 23rd, but we'll see. We'll see how we play.
Well, we do have a few more girls to get through, so we might just sneak one Christmas show in there before then, and then we'll launch straight into round 1 week of.
Love it. I look forward to it.
No worries. Thank you for mentioning that, Rob. We don't play West Coast as the other team we don't play. Thank you very much. I'll end on that note. Thank you, everyone, for watching. It's been a pleasure as always, Terry, and I look forward to seeing everyone here again 8 p.m. next week.
Go Blues.